This episode of Gateway Gamers brought to you by Crystal Light.
And we are doing our top 100 games of all time. It's surprising the number of people, because I put these videos as a premiere, so it's like hype, and we actually have people that wait for it.
Really?
Yeah. Not a lot, but we are talking now top 100, and we are down to 30 to 21. These games are all good. I don't have a single negative thing to say. I know you will have a negative thing to say.
Oh, yes. I always do. That's what they always say in the comments. I'm the guy who's unhappy and uncheerful.
One guy.
Thank you.
One guy. Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, we are doing 30 to 21, and this was hard. Like the 40 still had a couple of games that are just like, oh, these could be moving up or down. These games are all good.
That one guy, by the way, I do it just for you.
I know where you live, Bob.
All right, let's do this.
Oh, chatters me again. He's on a roll.
All right. 30.
Number 30.
All right, coming in at number 30 is a game that got killed by the pandemic. Only because in some of this game, you got to be touching people. So that kind of killed it. So...
Is it that kind of game? Wink.
It is that kind of game. No. Also sponsored by pinkcherry.ca. Do not look that up. Anyways, moving right along. Is Paranormal Detectives.
Why are you touching people in this game?
Because at some point during the game, because basically you're trying to help them figure out how you were killed. Okay. One of the cards that they can play is Ghost Writer, in which case the ghost will actually grab their hand and draw a picture to describe what it is they're trying to figure out. So, yeah, that kind of killed it for the pandemic because nobody's touching nobody when that's going on.
Nobody touched nothing.
Nobody touched nobody! Also, the same type of game that killed, or same type of reason that killed Nyctophobia. Because you can't be touching people in that game either.
Isn't that just in the dark? Right?
They can't see anything, but you gotta be, and they can. Yeah, all those type of games where you could have physical contact, it pretty much died with the pandemic. It sucks, trust me. So, anyways, that was my number 30, Paranormal Detectives. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot like Mysterium on steroids, but it's actually a lot more fun, I found. But the pandemic killed it.
Damn it, you're really inspired because you just brought up a title that I completely forgot. And I want to amend my list because it's...
Nyctophobia?
No, I've not played Nyctophobia, but this game is so good. It would probably be in my top 30, but I didn't add it because I've never owned it.
What's that?
I don't know, there's part of me that just wants to scratch this.
What is it, though?
Mountain of Madness.
Oh, I'll allow it.
No, I can't. I really can't. Next time I do a list list, I'll do it. Or maybe I'll squeeze it in somewhere.
I'm surprised I didn't have that one on my list. I think it's because it's more of a party game.
Yeah, it's a party game, but it's...
My wife hates it. That's why it's not on.
Just on the side. So I'm not gonna amend my list, but I tell you, Mountains of Madness is bar none. It's up there with Cards Against Humanity for some of the funniest games I've ever played. I've played it 3 times, and let me just state, I once played it with Mark Hamill and Becca Scott. Although we did not follow the rules.
No.
Oh, we did not plan that. But it was a hell of fun, especially when you're dealing with 3 actors and me. And I still remember that to this day, the fact that, because the card is that you're going slowly insane, and it manifests with players literally doing things. Sometimes they can't talk, sometimes they have to count every word on their hand, or in my case, just rattle the board really annoyingly, which the microphone's picking up, and people running around screaming, and you forget there's a game going on. But it's one of the 2 titles where my wife almost exasperated herself, almost passed out because she was laughing so hard. Anyway, That's aside. On to my actual 30. This is completely opposite because this game is 2 players only. Unlike Mountains of Madness, which is like a lot of players, this one's 2 players only. And in fact, it's so unusual that some people say it's not even a game. as much as it is almost a psychological...
Fog of Love.
Yes, Fog of Love. As much of a psychological exercise as a game. You play as two people that are in a relationship, and the relationship can go one or two directions, and you don't know what the win conditions are until about 2/3 into the game. And it might be that you stay together, or it might be you want to break up, but they want to stay together. So you don't know until the game's last final moments whether the game has actually been cooperative all this time or competitive. Because you're about trying to create your greatest happiness, and sometimes that is based on the other person's happiness, and sometimes it's not. We played
like life.
Oddly enough, despite the fact that I can say we've done 2 episodes. What, you want to play it? No, we played the first episode like 3 times because we like it so much. Not only that, it's also one of the few games that people can watch, and it's incredibly funny to watch. One of the funniest things I've ever seen was having my wife, which was girlfriend at the time, but my now wife, and one of my closest female friends playing against each other, playing with each other, right? And they were a standard thing, and one was a escaped convict, and the other one was a cop. It's quite literally they were unknowingly recreating the movie Out of Sight with Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney, and it was just hilarious. There's, I think, 3 episodes in the box, and we bought 2 others, including like the paranormal ghost one. I assume the game is done, but I know when it was big, it was everywhere because nobody would stop talking about it. I think even Walmart or Target picked it up, and it was a very popular game. And now nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. But I like the production quality, I like the game, and because it was mass produced for Walmart, you can get the game really cheap. And that's my number 30, Fog of Love. Number 29.
Anyways, this one is a game that I love playing. One caveat is that I need to remember how to play the game when I play it, because I played it wrong once and it ruined the game.
Wow.
And the reason why...
That'll do it.
Yep. The reason why is because it is one person is acting as the... Lost the name. This is a Fan Writer Games. Condolences for everything. The game is amazing. You play as the... I want to say it's like it's like the cheapskate or the man. Chisel. That's what it is. One person plays the chisel.
Anyway, so the game is...
Detective City of Angels, in which one person plays the chisel, and everyone else plays...
Not the hizzle.
The hizzle, it's the chisel. Where everyone else plays the detectives. And basically, they go around questioning people in the city. And this is the part where it dies for some people I know.
You love this game, though. I remember
this game.
You wouldn't stop talking about it.
But it dies for some people because when they're questioning the informants, the chisel can give them false information or correct information. It's just how you feel like doing it if you want. However, the information they're given, they don't have to share with the other detectives on the police force. And that's where it falls apart for some people, because like, well, this isn't cooperative then. And why would we not be sharing this information with each other if we're all on the same team? Because that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I love the aspect of trying to figure out the crime. I loved Detective by Portal Games. I love Detective series.
But you don't like Chronicles of Crime.
I love Chronicles of Crime.
I thought you didn't like Chronicles
No, I love Chronicles of Crime, and I have even the Chronicles of Crime Millennium series.
Oh, wow. Never mind.
So, and I also have the Chronicles of Crime with the 80s version Stranger Things kind of episode 1.
Apparently, Tom was just sniffing the throne of the new Cyberpunk one. He says it's amazing. He says it's the best one yet.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So, is that the Millennium Edition one? 24,000?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've got that one. It's right there.
Okay.
Because basically the way the Millennium series works is you start off in 1400, you go to 1900, and you end up in 2400. And it's all connected.
That will probably pop on my list the moment I play more than one episode. Because I played the first episode twice, as far as we've gotten.
The Millennium series?
Of Chronicles of Crime, period.
Oh, yeah. The Chronicles of Crime Millennium series I'm looking for. I haven't played it yet. Chronicles of Crime. I'm surprised it's not. Oh, I lied. It's on my list. So yes, it's a good thing. I love that game, but this one I love as well because I love the Roaring 20s and the 50s. I know they're not the exact same thing, but it's kind of have a little bit of the same feel-ish, with the Al Capone and all that kind of stuff. And that really is what this one is about. And I'm gonna just do it.
Oh no! Yeah, that was a Kickstarter one for you, right?
Yeah, and actually, sorry, it's the 40s. I feel bad, but not that bad.
What you think it was? 50s?
I thought it was the 20s, but it's the 40s.
Oh no!
So it's Los Angeles in the 40s. Yeah, I Kickstarted that one. So yeah, that's my number 29, Detective City of Angels by Van Ryder Games.
My number 29 is not that.
No.
My number 29 has a caveat. I'm not going to talk much into it because you covered it a long time ago. And it's a game that I've mentioned it before, so we should give it away. It's a game where once I found out this game was coming out, I got angry because it's such a great idea, and I was angry I didn't think of it myself.
Oh, role player.
Yeah, it is role player. And I've often said the fact that I love role player, but the expansions so far have been one step forward, two steps back. They do something that's really cool, and they add two things the game doesn't need. I still like. It's also one of the few games. Whenever someone says you have to buy this expansion, the game absolutely mandatory requires the expansion. I got tons of games we always play with expansions, but I could play role player on its own without any expansions.
I'm pretty sure that's how I play role player. Even though I have all of the
But like I said, it's way higher than Sagrada because I'm still a gamer. I also love the fact that they do come with a little pad with a 5e character sheet, which is 5e, even though it's totally not 5e, but it looks 5e. You can copy your character too, but it's not a realistic character because only stupid characters are made this way. It's like why does everyone has like 20s and 18s across the board? But it's a fun game. I like the idea of the entire game being the creation of a character, and so I get annoyed when they go, "Oh, now you're gonna have battles." Then I'm like, well, "Then I'll just play D&D." You had a brilliant idea, and I think you should just kept on going with it and not gone past first level. Stayed with the idea of character creation. That would have been more interesting to me. So that's my number 29. Role player. Brilliant game.
All right. Now we're really starting to get into the games that I like talking about.
How we do?
Well, especially with Detective City of Angels. But number 28 on my list is a game that I love, but I just can't afford to keep buying because it's just too expensive. And that is Star Wars Armada. I can't afford to drop $50 or $100 on pre-painted ships that just don't hit the table enough. I love the game. I love setting up the fleets. I love having the combat, but I'm like the only one.
Man, that's not cheap.
It's really not, and I have a lot of it. And yeah, it's the only thing I've ever found with this game was I love the capital ship aspect of it because I just found X-Wing kind of
Yeah, X-Wing is dogfighting.
What I always end up finding is that I'll be playing and I've always found the Imperials either way overpowered, but their maneuverability sucks. And so you always fall into the pitfall that the Imperials lose. Because the rebels can just outmaneuver them and they win. So you get into their blind spot and now they're getting shot up the butt and you die. So, but I love the game. It's hard to get it to the table. I know there's like leagues and stuff out there, but I just can't commit that much time to a game. So it will forever probably stay on the shelf until my kid's old enough to understand it and maybe then I'll play it with him.
Daddy, what's this? What are these things? They're called plastic minis. Plastic, what's that? Well,
it's like VR.
Before the age of VR and holograms, we actually had physical possessions.
Yeah, exactly.
What was physical possessions? What's that? Well, back when we were young, we used to own things instead of renting them.
Yeah. So that was my number 28, Star Wars Armada.
I have a funny feeling that we're going to be having a conversation about number 28. My game is Detective. A modern crime board game.
Which one? The new one or the old, or like this one?
I'm going to go with the classic and not the season one. I'm going to go with the classic one. I actually like this game better than Chronicles. I understand the appeal of Chronicles because Chronicles is easy in and out, 45 minutes. It's we actually failed the first mission because we overthought the plot. Turns out it was way more simpler than we needed to. And
Detective, we actually had the point where we actually had a murder board set up in the room and everything.
Yeah, like Detective Modern Crime board game is like that. It's if Chronicles of Crime is an episode of Law and Order, the Detective Modern Crime board game is like it's like True Detective. The entire season, it's just like the first episode took us 3.5 hours. Because there's so much story, and I love the fact that one aspect of the game is real world research that you have to look up. Because they have their intranet, but then you have to look up real world. So when you're playing with 4 people, which is a classic number, a good number, unlike most of these other games like Chronicles of Crime, where there's not really characters. Detective, you are playing people. You have a time clock, very similar to Chronicles of Crime, except it's not a live feed. Like Chronicles of Crime has the semi VR little, analyzing, and it's on a timer. But Detective, it's a situation where somebody's handling the cards, somebody's handling the internet, and somebody's handling the actual real internet. So everyone's got computers, and they're plugging away trying to solve this case. And it was fascinating. And I like the fact it's not like you didn't catch the guy, you lose. It's like, did you catch these points? Good, you scored a 70 out of 80 or something.
Yeah.
It is I think because of that, it's a fantastic game. And I know that a lot of people have been bitching because the Dune House Secrets takes that model and removes the lose-win aspect. I was trying to figure out why so many people had hate on, because Detective Modern Crime board game uses an app exactly the same way as Dune House Secrets. Dune House Secrets has a much higher production value. I couldn't believe the level of quality for audio and narration in comparison.
I've never played it, and I didn't know that's what that game was. I've got it. It's down there.
Yeah. It's Detective, but in Dune.
Oh, damn.
And, of course, the first introductory, which is like 4 cards, took us 2 hours. And chapter 1 is like 20 cards, and there's no real world research, but now it's got all of these documents and files you get to read, which is fantastic. But it's like you finish the first game, and it's like did you do you know this or this? Yes. All right. See ya. Wait, and we're like, did we win? Did we lose? Like, nope, you're just gonna play on. Like, what? Like, we were so insistent that there had to be a win-lose state that the idea of the game just goes. Now we just keep playing. I'm like, wait a second. Did we win? Did we lose? It's a game. And like, when you're watching TV, like, well, did we? I watched Dune. Well, did you win? Like, it's an interactive experience, right? Yeah. But Detective came before it. It created the formula. The amount of writing is astronomical, and that is Detective, a modern crime board game.
Yep, I like that one. It's not on my list because I don't own it, but I played it.
Yeah,
I think we had 6 or 7 people in the room when we were playing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think 4 or 5 would be enough, just because 27 on to you. 27.
All right. 27 is a game that I think you've already talked about, so we won't go into it much. But it's an app-driven board game. I like it, and I think it's one of those ones that you talk about. Add something, take something away, blah blah blah. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I did that, but basically it either makes it better or makes it worse sometimes, and that is Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth.
Oh, wow.
That is my number 27.
Number 27.
And I think you've already talked about it before.
Nope, I have not.
Oh, you have not?
Nope,
so
I have
basically
not.
This is Descent, Journeys in the Dark, but Lord of the Rings-esque, but they originally started off with making it very pressure time-wise, and then they eased off a bit, but I still find it rushed a little bit anyways. So, I enjoy it. Haven't played much of it, but what I played of it, I enjoyed, and that's why it's where it is in my list. I will still even buy the expansions, even though I haven't been playing it recently. That's why they're still in cellophane. So that is my number 27, Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth.
Yeah, Journeys in Middle-earth is an amazing game, and because I haven't mentioned it, it's coming. So I won't go into too much details on that one. But yeah, that game is fantastic. Like I said, when I talked about with you originally, and I did my review at Hobbiton, I had mentioned that I couldn't understand why it was built with such a pressure mechanic, and I said that the pressure mechanic literally ruins the game because, like, why it's not Journeys through Middle Earth, it's Race at top speed through Middle Earth because there's no exploring, there's no adventuring, and then they just hot fixed the app and just added the adventure mode. Like, they can just do that, so you don't have to send here, spend $20 for this downloadable pack, which makes the game easier. Like, no. We just did a free push and gave you adventure mode, which is how we play. Because we want to hang out and we want to explore. We want to do our journey through Middle Earth. And it turned a good game into a great game. Yeah. My number 27. How would I word this one? Because the number 27 and 24 they feel so similar. This is a cooperative game. It is considered by many people to be one of the greatest cooperative games ever. I think that's overselling it. I think it's fantastic, so much so that it is at 27. And I appreciate that there is levels of difficulty. I had issues with the fact that the base difficulty is insane. But you can reduce the difficulty significantly to make the game a lot more fun. I love how asymmetric it is. I love the theme, and it's Spirit Island. I love the fact that the characters that you play are so completely different. I love the idea that you're playing these native gods that are trying to push out industrialization and the encroaching colonizers. I love that idea. I love how it's built. But the base difficulty is insane. And the moment we went into it with a lower difficulty, we had a much, much better experience. And I think we played it 2 or 3 times now, and it's a good response. I do not have a problem playing games on easy. I don't. And I really...
I usually always play
and anyone who says, you'd have to get good, you know what? Fuck off. So that's my number 27, Spirit Island.
Okay, my number 26. I almost skipped over and went to 25. So my number 26 is it's a hard setup game, but it's a game that we've talked about before. It's a game you wish you've played. It's a game I have played. I enjoy.
You're putting a lot of words in my mouth. It's a game you wish you played. Like, you don't know, maybe.
Oh yes, I do.
All right.
Because it's a variant of one of your wife's favorite games, and that is Edge of Darkness.
Oh, yeah. Wait a second. When we were talking about Mystic Vale, I asked you if Edge of Darkness was on this list, and you said, no, because it's such an intimidating game. It's so much busy work, and it left you underwhelmed. Why is it so high on your list?
Because it's not Mystic Vale. No. It is a very good game. I love the variety to it, but it still is intimidating. That's why it's not farther up the list than this.
Yeah, the game was so big, it was the reason why we didn't back it. We had backed a lot of stuff around that same time, and because we had just gotten into Mystic Vale. Actually, I didn't have Mystic Vale. No, I did. But we hadn't got enough play out of it, so we wanted to continue playing it. Yeah.
It's a good game, but it's got a lot to it. Of the playthrough I've done of it, I enjoyed it, but again, it's a lot of setup. So that's my number 26.
That's the game with the dice tower, right?
Yeah,
as a
cube tower.
Yeah, I love the fact that the cube tower is actually a mechanic.
Yep.
Yeah. Obviously, that's not going to be on my list, but damn, yeah, you're right. There is a game I want to play. You're putting a lot of words in my mouth. No, that's a safe assumption. Yep. My number 26 is a little bit wishy-washy, but I'm holding to it because this is not one game. It's actually a series of games that are in themselves very different. But this is a place marker for all of them because they have all of the same name and they can actually interconnect. And
Time Stories?
Nope. Oh God, Time Stories wouldn't be on this list. Time Stories would have been on this list until I found out how the first season ended. The fact the first season is like, and the cliffhanger, play season 2, and everyone's like, no. So anyway, so this is my wife and I love the core game. We played the first game a dozen times. We've only played the second and third a couple of times, but I love the very idea, and very often it goes on display because it looks beautiful. This is the Century Trilogy, Century Spice Road, and all the other variations of it. And people say, like, Century, whatever the other 2 games are called, because I'm blanking on it now. Because Century Spice Road is the best one, and the one everyone talks about. And the fact that they put out 2 mechanically different, but thematically similar games within a year really is quite impressive. Because, I mean, they designed all 3 games basically at the same time. And the fact that the first game and then the second game comes out, and you can play it completely separately because it's a completely unique standalone game, and you can combine them. If you do, you take some cards out, you move this game in, you have a very distinct experience. Mm-hmm. And then the third game came out, and you could play 1 and 3, 2 and 3, or 1, 2, and 3, and there were literally different rules that are interconnecting all 3 games. And that's just something that you don't see very often. The art style is great. I like whipping out the first one because it's such an instantly easy to learn game. It is a wonderfully casual game. It's people just talk and play, and the rounds go by super fast. Second and third require a bit more setup, a bit more movement. But if I could pick one, it would just be the first one. But I'm using this for the whole trilogy, the Century Trilogy, and I wished that, like, the whole idea about the Golem Edition, it was supposed to be a standalone. They made out the Golem Edition for Century Spice Road, and like, here's a cool little thing for you guys, whatever. And everyone loved it so much, they literally were forced to come out with Golem Editions for the second and third because they were never going to do that. Because the Golem Edition was just supposed to be a limited offshoot, and it got so popular that everyone was demanding Golem Editions for 2 and 3. And if I'd known that, I would have gotten those because I like those more, just because it's the artwork is so amazing. And my wife would have definitely wanted the Golem Edition over the traditional version. But yeah, Century Trilogy, Golem Edition, the whole works. That's my number 26. Number 25.
My 25 is a great game, a deck builder, but they decided, hey, let's just crank this up to 11. And that is
No. Is this thing, you don't get to, only I can do this.
No.
Because it's supposed to be 69. Or excellent. 11 is Spinal Tap, and Spinal Tap doesn't do this. I'm just fucking with you.
I know. But anyway, Clank Legacy, Acquisitions Incorporated.
Oh,
that took a great game and just...
Yeah. That's the Penny Arcade one, right?
No. Don't think so.
Okay, I know one of the Clanks was... Well, I won't say it's the Penny Arcade one. It's the one that Mike Crawhead did the artwork for.
Oh.
It's not really... It's not
maybe.
Really, yeah, it's
maybe
not really
it
a Penny
is.
Arcade, but he did a couple...
Yeah, let me put it to you this way. When we played Clank Legacy, we started at our usual time, 7 o'clock at night, and 1 o'clock rolled around. We're like, maybe we should get to bed. Because it was just that good. Wow. And we did not notice the time go by. And unfortunately, we haven't picked
Were
it
you
up.
playing just one episode, or you were just going after one after the other?
Yeah, one after another. We just kept on going through.
Wow.
Yeah. And we enjoyed it that much that we just finally said, yeah, we should stop the story here, and we'll just put a bookmarker in there, and we'll just put that aside. And yeah, it was just, we had fun. And it was interesting because, I mean, I like Clank as a whole, but this just cranked it up. So that's my number 25, Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated.
My number 25, I had actually just mentioned I think not on this list, but the previous video. I was commenting that I'm not a huge fan of this genre, even though I think I have a half a dozen games in it. But this is the best one I've seen, and there's been some controversy with it, but I still think it's a great game. It's a Western game. It's a great Western game. It's a great Western Trail.
What's the controversy?
Remember some issues with the new re-release when they had 3 different versions. I can't remember what the actual issue was. But Great Western Trail, the original, the expansion is, speaking of expansions, unlike Role Player, the expansion for this game is awesome. Like, it adds enough interesting things without really overly intimidating it. I like how it's built. it's kind of the opposite of Naramata, because when you go through the list, you go forward, you can't go back, just like Naramata, but you go forward, and as you go, you're adding more locations. So the first time you pass through the loop, it takes no time at all, because there's only like a half a dozen locations, maybe 10 locations. And then you're laying down your own tiles. And then when you go back around, you're going to visit your own tiles because they're really good and they're your tiles. And you go through it, and so that takes longer. And then the next run goes longer and longer and longer until finally the last turn takes almost as much as the previous 2 turns, because you're doing so much to get those final point bonuses. Unlike this, the opposite of Naramata, because Naramata is a massive map and that gets smaller and smaller and smaller each time you pass it through. So I really love the way the Western Trail does it. My wife adores that game. She loves it, even though you're not really building things. It's just a great format, different routes. Yeah, it's a really great game. Great Western Trail. I mean, number 25. 24.
Cool. My number 24 is a game that's about big.
Minton.
And nope, can fit in your wallet.
I'm never going to get these guesses right.
Nope, you can fit in your wallet.
Oh, is it Opolis?
Yep.
Yes, I got it.
It's Sprawlopolis by Justin Tagmeyer.
9 cards.
Yes, I think I've got the expansions, which make it more than that. I never thought that game would actually be as much fun as it is, but I've had more fun with that game than I have some of my big box games. Just the way you overlay cards and you build it and you're trying to make these patterns. It sounds lame, but when you play it, you get it. That's all I can really say to it. Is just, if to understand this game, you have to play it. It's not a huge cost to pick up.
Obviously.
I'm pretty sure it's Button Shy is the game company that he's now made. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's a good game.
I'm trying to remember if this is actually how it went down, because I remember Tom Vassell reviewing this. Do you remember Tom Vassell? If I remember correctly, he started the interview with like, everyone kept on telling me to review this game. Yeah. And I heard about it. I'm like, I'm not going to review this game. It's 9 cards. I'm not going to review this game. But people were so insistent to and he was like, so finally, I'll play this game. And it's amazing. Yep. Like, how can 9 cards have this much replayability? Because like, there's the oh god, what was
Godzilla expansion.
No. It's just, oh, really? There's another card game, because we did a list of small deck games.
Yep.
And Sprawlopolis was, I think, your number 1. And there's a game. Yep, that's all of it. There's a game I'm trying to remember now.
I stand corrected. It's Steve Armani, Dave Devine, and Paul Kluka. Could have sworn.
Yeah.
There's more than 9 cards here, though.
Yeah, but you said you got the expansion and stuff, right?
Yeah, I've got the beaches.
Maybe it's 11 cards or whatever. I'm not sure, but it's
like 21, I think. But yeah, I've got the beaches and everything. Yeah. The interstate. A whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. But literally, that's the game.
Yeah.
Those are the cards. That's how much it takes up. It's amazing.
Yep, it costs $50. I don't know why. I'm joking.
No, I think it's about $20. But if you have all the expansions, yeah, you'll probably put about $50 in. But
yep, if you want a pocket game, that quite literally there's nothing that's smaller.
Yeah. So that's my number 24, Sprawlopolis. Great game. Pick it up. Don't even think about it. Just do it. Trust me. You'll thank us.
Well, thank him. I haven't played it. My number 24, I always find number 24 and Spirit Island to be kind of kissing cousins. Mm-hmm. They have nothing in common mechanically. Mm-hmm. They are both cooperative games, but there's something thematically reminiscent of the two of them. One's a remake, the other one's new. I was really worried about this game, and thankfully they listened to the Kickstarter backers, and they amended it so last minute. It wasn't even the amendments weren't even in the box. It was an envelope outside of the box that had the additions. But we actually went full bore. We actually have the big mouse-like massive mat, nylon, epic mat that we play on. And this is Atlantis Rising. I can't remember. Was it Garcia or Sam that loved this game implicitly? It's just, and it's right. It's a cooperative worker placement game, which is excruciatingly rare. Basically, everyone's talking about where they're going to put their guys, and then you put them. And the further away you put them, the riskier it is because they can get flooded and die, but there's a better chance of you getting the resources you need to build the artifacts to make this magical thing in the center that'll save everybody. First time we played, I don't think we've lost a game. We've come damn close. But like I said, this was during a time period when I was, like you and I were both railing against the fact that people were making cooperative games too difficult because they felt they had to. Some type of, I don't know why. And so whenever I see a cooperative game, I'm like, how's your difficulty? And I confront the owners. I confront the designers. I say, how do you scale your difficulty? And there are some of them that still haven't got the point. Like when Frostpunk, the board game, came out, and I was pushing them hard about the difficulty, and they came like, "Oh, it's high." I'm like, and then I saw the video, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm staying the hell away from this game," which is too bad because Frostpunk, the video game, is amazing.
I love that game.
But Atlantis Rising, I said like. I think enough people were saying like this game needs to be easier. The original game was too hard, and so they came out with an easier mode, but which adds in just a few more cards to the deck, and that's enough to make the game easier. And it's quite literally on an envelope outside the box because they basically amended it at the last second to the point they couldn't even put it inside. And it makes the game way more interesting. You get to have some fun, build some artifacts. You can make a few mistakes, and fantastic production value. Oh my god. And that is Atlantis Rising. Second edition, obviously. 23.
So this is a game that we'll call... There's a lot of games that touted for this one, but this one was one of my games that was a game killer. Because it killed another game that I absolutely loved.
It happens.
Because this one I can put on the table, get through quicker, enjoy more, and everybody seems to have more fun with it than the other one, which was my ultimate favorite racing game, which was Formula D. Not Formula Day. Formula D. I loved Formula D. I have so many tracks for it and stuff. I love the racing, gearing up, shifting down. There's so many ways you can play the advanced modes, and you can just really have a lot of fun with that game. You can actually make whole campaigns, but that's not actually tournaments and stuff, and have all that stuff. You can incorporate the weather. Love Formula D for that. It's great. But this game, it took the best aspects of those games. It was an older game than Formula D, but they made it better because that's what restoration games does. This is Downforce.
Okay, you're gonna have to clarify with me. Is Downforce a game? Okay. Because I could have sworn that Downforce was a game that's only about the pit lane.
Nope.
Okay, I'm thinking of another game then.
Yep, because I don't know which one that one is.
Because there's a game I saw and I thought, oh, this is a game just about the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one that one is, but Formula D is basically...
Wait, is Downforce?
Sorry, Downforce,
okay,
sorry.
Yeah.
You got, I think it's 8 cars. Could be wrong. It might be 6, but I think it's 8. You basically bid on them. And then whoever buys them, you take that cost off of your end total for points. And then basically you have cards that tell you how far each car goes. And you play your cards on each turn, which means you're moving all the cars that are on that card. And so because you're doing that, everybody's cars are advancing. So you place bets as you cross certain parts of the track where you're like, okay, I think this person's going to win. I think this person's going to win. It may not even be your car. If it does, great, cool, extra money. But you can have your card not cross the finish line and still win that game. As long as you were right on who the bet you thought was going to win and you helped that car win, you can still win the game. And I have had that where I came so close to winning the game. I did not have any of my cars because in the end with like a 4-player game, maybe you own 1 car, maybe you own 2. My car didn't come in finish, but it came in about 3rd. But I had enough with the bets of who I thought was going to win. I helped those cars win because I knew I wasn't going to get my car there. Mm-hmm. And my points were just a little bit off of the other person's.
Sarah won, didn't she?
No, my mom. I've never played this. Yeah, my mom won. Yeah, my mom actually wins this one a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's a game where you can play in about 30, 45 minutes, which is rare these days. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Downforce, and they have expansions, which was Dangerous Circuits, and I can't remember the other one. There was another expansion, but they did a really great job. It's amazing how much fun you can have with this game. You really need to try it.
It's funny. You unsold it for me.
Why?
Because Nicole cannot stand bidding games. When you mentioned well, it's like no matter how much I may want to play the game, Nicole will never play bidding based. She hates bluffing. She hates bidding, and I think it's because she's a bookkeeper. It's like, no, I do that in life. It took so much effort to get her to love Terraforming Mars, even though technically it's an economy game, but it's so shrouded in science and building things that she kind of forgets it. But every time I bring an economic game home, we play it once, and then we never play it again.
I guarantee she'll like this one. I'll put money on it.
Okay.
So that's why number 23, Downforce.
This is, speaking of games that I should... Okay, this is a game that shouldn't be at... What, number 23? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this game should not be number 23. Oh. It shouldn't. And I mean that sarcastically, because this game shouldn't be good. It has been criticized. The characters, the player boards are unbalanced.
Root.
No, it's not Root. I already mentioned Root. The player boards are unbalanced.
Oh, well then it's the other one. It's Crystal Vast?
Nope. Characters are unbalanced. And some player abilities are downright broken. So much so that the expansion included the errata with replacement cards to fix the issues with the first one. The game is remarkably random. More random than it probably should be. And yet, despite that, we keep on taking it to the table. Nicole loves this game. Everybody I know plays it loves this game. I think it's an awesome game. The first time we played it, I couldn't understand why. It had a 0 to 100 point tracker with an extra point tracker for 200, 300, 400 points. And I was like, I won the first game at 95, and I'm like, how in the serious F does someone... And then my last game, I got to 250 points, and I felt like a rock star. Because it's a game that can have these stratospheric point combinations if you're really lucky, because the game can go off the deep end. If there's a criticism, I think the game could go on for one more round, because I think one more round, it's like having an engine builder and the game ends before the engine cooks. I think another round is the engine cooking off, and I don't know why this is a game, but it's got incredible, insane production value, and that is Tapestry.
Another one my wife wants, but I'm not going to buy.
So I got Tapestry. I can't remember. Did I buy Tapestry, or was it I know it was one of my review games. No, I did purchase. Pretty sure I purchased Tapestry, because I think I got a bunch of games with Stonemaier. That was one of them. But Tapestry, fully painted buildings. You create your own civilization. The conflict is very minor. The fact that I played 3 games and I think only once did 2 people ever smash heads against each other. It's a civilization builder, kind of, but it's also really wonky. Like, you can develop space travel before math. Like, it's because there are 4 different paths. And one path is like, it goes off its direction, eventually turns to space travel, but then one of them is like building homes and stuff like that. So everyone's living in mud huts and flying on spaceships. It's very difficult to do that, but technically you can. And I also made the joke, which I think is the reason why I got fired from the Dice Tower, where I said, it's interesting, it has every aspect of civilization except religion, because the joke is that if you played religion, you would always win. And the other thing I thought was funny is that culture was associated with military. And that was, so the culture track was also the military track, which I thought was interesting. But the point is the fact that the whole level is just each person doing a turn until you run out of resources, and you pass, and then the other person, if they still have resources. So it's also the weirdest game in the fact that it does not have a fixed end game. Because let's say you're playing the game, I'm playing the game, Nicole's playing the game, and just because how it works, I run out of resources, but you don't. So if the game's over for me, you just keep playing. And there have been situations where I've gotten to the second phase of civilization, and I've gotten to the third, and Nicole's still going into the second. And I feel like, there's been situations where Nicole finishes the game, and I kept on playing for another 20 minutes. because it's, I like that idea. It's like, no, just because I finished doesn't mean the game is going to truncate for all of you. I finished the game, and now you get to finish the game. And and the expansion's really fun, adds more buildings and so forth. Yes, it does. There are some of the civilization cards you get are freakishly overpowered in the core game. There are ones that are like, well, this is not very useful. And then it's like, okay, I guess this is my entire game is playing with this board. But I find it really interesting, and I don't know why I love it, but we love it. Because I know it got some controversy. People say it was too random. It's too chaotic. But I love it. 23, Tapestry. 22.
Right. My 22, honestly, this game I feel like it's talked about so much, but I guess I'll just do a real quick blurb on it. You're on vacation. Have the best one.
Tokaido. It's Tokaido. Okay. I'm thinking that's not really a vacation. You're just traveling a road trying to have the best experience. Yeah. It was the best experience that gave it away, not the vacation.
But
that game's going to get replaced with mine. Talking about taking a game to 11, that's the whole point of Narumado, is taking Tokaido to 11.
So anyways, that's my number 22, Tokaido Deluxe Edition.
That's it, right? That's it. You mentioned it, because we've already talked it to death. We were talking about something earlier. You mentioned that game that kills another game, and I was making a joke just now.
Yeah.
It's amazing that actually happens. We actually, a good number of people go, why are you selling this game? I go, because we have
a better game.
It's a better game. It's very different, but it scratches the same itch, so it destroys it, right? Like, we got rid of every Tetrahedra game except for Feast for Odin, because every time we wanted to play a Tetra game, we would just play Feast for Odin. So Indian Summer and all the other variations went into the sell pile, right? I'm worried now that she's never going to play Feast for Odin ever again, because anytime she's going to want to play Feast for Odin, she's going to play Isle of Cats, right? And I would say, other than the few rare occasions where we get tired of a game and don't really care for it, there's so many games we play we're just like, do we play this, or do we play this better game that we always want to play? Well, then let's just get rid of this one, because we're never going to play it. Anyway, on to me for number 22, because that was, like I said,
it's a great game. I love Tokaido.
Yeah, Tokaido is a great game. I never got the big box edition. I still have my friend's version, which I think is interesting. But yeah. Did you know the same company printing my game is the people who printed Tokaido?
Huh? I'm still waiting on the Midji.
Oh, the same people, yeah.
Yep.
I almost backed that one, but didn't. Okay. My number 22 is, I was checking here, and I am correct, this is the highest deck builder. Would you think that way up to 22? That means there are no more deck builders. No more deck builders. This is the best deck builder in this bunch.
Oh, God, I know what it's going to be. Apocrypha.
Apocrypha's not a deck builder.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Nope, it's a card game, but it's not a deck builder. A deck builder is a game where the whole part of the game is you building up. You have a crap set of cards, and over the game you are building up and getting rid of bad cards and getting new cards.
Would you call it?
Apocrypha has, like, literally throughout the course of one mission, you might get one card. Or
what about Pathfinder adventure card game?
Well, I don't play it,
but it's a deck builder.
I don't think Pathfinder or Apocrypha are deck builders. I think they're adventure card games. I think deck building is a very specific mechanic. I think this is the best game that does deck building. If you want to say it, fine. That means we have one more deck builder to come. But outside of that, then this is still, when it comes to traditional deck building, that's not playing around with other variations, this is my favorite. But it's also one of the most divergent versions. There's no flop of 5. There's no sharing of resources. Our decks are bespoke, and it's all in service of a completely different mechanic, which is the reason why I think Dune is going to rise up on this list, because Dune operates the same way, where you have your deck, but your cards can interact with a board rather than with other cards or against the other player, which so many deck builders do. But this game does the same thing, where almost your entire game is you interacting with a third party, a board. And I love it. And it's Super Motherload. Super Motherload, everyone gets a unique bespoke deck based on their character. All the cards that you can add to your deck are also unique, so you never compete for your own cards. Then you have cool resources, and the fact that it's dig dug. You base your digging under Mars, and all the players are just mining tunnels, putting down dig holes. uncovering resources, getting treasures, and then building more tunnels from other players' tunnels, and just going further and further down. I love this game so much because it's just so fascinating. You know, putting down tiles, getting resources, using those resources to buy better cards, and seeing the engine cook off. It's not very expensive. Have you played it? You played it, right? I love it. But it's like, don't expect anything. It's not Edge of Darkness. Like I said, each dig board is about this big, and you go through 3 of them, and then that's it. Other than that, you have your little deck building area. You got your, I think, 3 stacks of 3 different cards each, right? And then that's it. Like that's it, right? And you only get it's only what, 3? I think the hand is 3 cards too, so it's a very small deck builder. But I love it, and that's number 22, Super Motherload.
21.
Finally, I break his streak with paper. Wow, he was doing well there. He got 3 in a row. My streak was 3 in a row as well. My number 21 is another small game that might move up because we just got an expansion for it. And this game is also a giant middle finger to another game which we also bought, we played, we hated it, even though it has the exact same mechanic. And it's amazing how a perfect game is one rule away from being crap. You could ruin a game with one idea, one diversion.
Gloomhaven.
I don't think Gloomhaven is soured. I don't think it's ruined. But there's a game called Machikoru, which we bought and we played because they said it was very mechanically similar to this game, and we played it and we hated it. After one play, we were both unanimous, yeah, put that on the sell pile, get rid of it. And the fact that they came out with a legacy and a second edition, why are people playing this game when this game is out and so much better? And that is Space Base. Space Base is super fun. I love the fact that they've mastered the bell curve mathematics and how to lay out the cards, and so they know exactly where the numbers are going to lie. So the really powerful cards are at specific values. It is shocking how well the math works in that game. Some of the cards, you have to do a thesis to understand because they're really difficult, but a lot of the cards aren't. They're really straightforward. I like the different ways you can win. I like the fact that also, the other big thing, I like the fact that everyone gets resources outside of your turn, right? The fact that there's a row, which is your abilities, and then your passive abilities, which happens if somebody else rolls that value on their turn. So you're not talking to somebody else. You're actively looking at what the other person's rolling in case their roll gives you a benefit. And I like that. I like that interactivity between them. And we just got the Shy Pluto, which is the campaign version of it. And so we're looking forward to going through that. And it's fantastic. And that is my number 21, Space Base. Do you like that one? Or?
Oh, no, yeah, I love that one. Just I'm surprised it's not on my list.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, that's your problem.
Yeah. My number 21, they just recently... I love this game. It has a massive presence on my shelf. Because it inspired other games to build massive all-in-one boxes, like the fact that it inspired Too Many Bones to create their massive crate, which is over there somewhere.
No.
It's on the bottom shelf. This game was the one that did it first. But they decided, you know what? We've been doing this for X amount of years. We know how to do it better. We're going to start over again with a definitive edition and make this game better. I questioned it. I had issues with it, but I still backed it because I was like, maybe you guys know what you're doing. I've played it recently. I gotta admit, it's better than the original. It's so much better than the original that my friend who's played it and has the original copy just like me has now ordered the definitive edition and is going to be selling her old edition.
Wow.
And that is Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Oh.
So, it's currently on Kickstarter, of course. Not going to be when this video comes out. But they are basically, over the next X amount of years, going to be re-releasing everything with updated mechanics. And it's not updated so much as they basically took the card text and made how it worked and how it was identifiable easier to read and easier to understand, which streamlined the entire game. And yeah, it's amazing how much difference it has made. It makes me sad because I have everything for the original, and it's just this massive box
That's just wasting space now.
That would be my one complaint. It's just like, God damn it. So that is Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition.
So like you have this giant box and it's just gonna sit there. I mean, is it the old version that's a bad game, or is it just?
It's not bad. It's just it's not as clear or as streamlined as the other one. It's got basically the same text. Actually, I will say one criticism about this game: the artwork that they chose to go with on this one, I do not like as much as I like the original artwork. They went for like the 80s comic book style artwork. Like where you can see like the dots. Yeah. Whereas the other one was just, cartoonish, regular comic artwork. And I preferred the original artwork to this one. So that's my number 21, Sentinels of Multiverse.
So we got only 2 more to go.
Yep.
Only 2 more. The top 20.
Yep.
And we're going to have some sharing. Because you haven't mentioned certain games that I know you're going to mention. So
these are probably also, honestly, these next... You should buy all of these next 20 games.
Well, talking about the games that we just mentioned, from Space Base to Spirit Island Century Trilogy, I mean, most of these games, like I would say, like people go Space Base, yeah, buy Space Base because it's super cheap and it's a gateway game. Super Motherload's a fantastic. Tapestry is really popular, right? Unfortunately, I have to say that I think Tapestry was the last good game Stonemaier because their last 2 have not been doing very well. Because the superhero one was not very good.
Superhero one.
The one with the Red Rising.
Oh.
Red Rising wasn't very good. And
I thought that was Samurais.
Nope. It's superheroes.
Really?
Kind of super. And it's not really. It's pretty close to being superheroes, but it's Red Rising. And then I haven't heard good things about Pendulum.
I didn't even know about Pendulum.
Pendulum, I got a review copy of Pendulum, and I want to play it, but I do know that the art style is hit or miss. And some people love it, some people hate it, and I know that it has an optional real-time mechanic, which a lot of people say is you take it out if you really don't want to do with a real-time element, because the game is supposed to be played through real-time. That's why all the meeples are freaking sand timers. Or their sand timers are a definitive element. But yeah, we're going to play it because I have to play them because I have to do reviews on all of them. But yes, Tapestry, good game. But yeah, you're right. The next 20, I can see 1 or 2 of these games being, well, I'll listen to I'll take your recommendation, but I won't buy it. Top 10, different story. You are going to get these games. If you're a solid gamer, you should own these games.
Yes.
Anyway, that is it. We got 2 more videos to go. I have been Chris.
I have been Dave.
And remember, the rules are just as...
He never gets it.
I never get it. The rules are just a suggestion.
Play the game how you want to play it.
Thank you. We out.